Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live at the Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. AEW, the drama that is Media Scrumgate, has sort of reached a new plot twist tonight. It was revealed on AEW Dynamite what's going to happen with the AEW World Title. We're getting a tournament to determine a new champion. Another tournament, another new champion. The title's
unless Mox wins, it'll be the same as the last tournament champion.
We'll talk about that, of course, who we think is going to come away with that title. So we've got that happening. No mention whatsoever of CM Punk. There was a reference, a go-to-sleep reference by MJF, who kicked things off.
Well, and also there was no CM Punk in the show open.
That
no
is
Punk
correct
that I noticed
as well.
So do you want to get into the stories coming out of the show first, or more details of backstage stuff? What do you want to do first?
I think let's start with what you got here. Let's do the backstage stuff. We'll start there.
All right, we'll do that.
Let's go chronological.
Sure, we could do that. So, of course, we did an episode earlier today. More details on fallout from the fight, suspensions, so on. And as we were recording that show this afternoon, Dave Meltzer tweeted out, quote, "There were neutral parties who saw everything, and their versions are likely going to determine how this all plays out." And so the Wrestling News, that's Brian Last's Wrestling News website. He's, I think, the producer for Jim Cornette's show.
I believe so, yeah.
Tweeted out that both Christopher Daniels and AEW Chief Legal Officer Mega Parek witnessed the brawl. Wrestling News stated that Mega was seen, quote, engaging in conversation with the Bucks shortly before they approached CM Punk's locker room, and that she was, quote, present for a portion of the CM Punk Elite locker room altercation. Mega was also seen, quote, leaving the room with CM Punk's dog, seemingly taking him to safety. And the Wrestling News adds that Christopher Daniels was, quote, with the Elite as they entered CM Punk's locker room. And on today's Wrestling Observer Radio, Brian Alvarez stated that not only did Parek witness part of the brawl, she entered the room with the Young Bucks. So as Dynamite was happening, Fightful Select posted the Elite's perspective of what went down after Punk's scrum. So sources close to the Elite have told Fightful that the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega opened the door, the Punk's locker room, rather than kick it down. And Punk then started quickly clobbering Matt Jackson with sucker punches. Nick went to get involved, and that's when Ace Steel apparently threw the chair at him. Apparently, Kenny didn't immediately join the fight. Sources say he went to remove Larry, Punk's dog, from the room. And once Larry was handed off, he went to get Ace Steel off Nick, and that's when Steel apparently bit him and pulled his hair.
So much like the CM Punk side of things, this is very, Elite friendly. It will be much more interesting to see what happens when the investigation is sort of resolved and the people who are there that are, I guess, as neutral as possibly can
Well, you'd
be.
think that Mega Parek would be about a neutral party as one would assume.
I feel like that's the only person that really needs to be interviewed, depending on her perspective, like literally her perspective where she was in terms of seeing all this go down.
If she actually entered the room with the Young Bucks,
then you would think that she would be privy to at least the catalyst of it all, which is sort of
what started off. Yeah, exactly.
What is incredibly telling there is the fact that, or is evidently that they did get her prior to going there. And in addition to that, they got Christopher Daniels,
who is the manager of talent relations,
which when we were discussing this earlier today and a little bit yesterday, we talked about what's the appropriate measure to take if you're the EVPs / wrestlers in the situation going to confront a wrestler who just said some incredibly inflammatory things about you and your colleagues at a press conference. That would be the appropriate step to take. Yes. You say, hey, can you please come with us? Can you please come with us? Mega's the number 2 person in the company.
Yes, in the company, yeah.
Tony Khan is busy with the media scrum. He was doing that while this was going down. This is the next person in line to bring with us to get a read on this situation.
Exactly. I mean, if you're going to Punk's locker room to start a fight, you don't get the number 2 executive of the whole company. You don't get the head of talent relations to come join you to witness that,
Yeah.
So assuming that the wrestling news reports here is true, that the Young Bucks talked to Mega, she was at the least present for part of the altercation, if not there from the very beginning. Plus Christopher Daniels is there. If this is all true, then it seems like, all right, the Elite at least went about it the right way in terms of saying, okay, we just can't barge in there,
right,
and it starts some shit.
Yeah,
we're going in there to try to do something in a professional manner.
Yeah, I mean,
assuming that the wrestling news and Alvarez, all that stuff's
assuming
correct.
This stuff is true. I hate to disappoint the CM Punk fans in our YouTube comments, but seemingly this didn't quite go down with them BTE triggering the door open, which still doesn't make any amount of sense to me. So
but like we said in that show, there's 3 sides of the truth. I mean, like Alvarez, I listened to the Wrestling Observer live today, and Alvarez says you get 2 points of view. You got 2 stories. You get what Punk said, that the Elite came in as aggressors, or you get the Elite side of thing, which is they walked in Punk essentially to start punching Matt Jackson.
Yeah,
and those are the 2 narratives you're getting apparently from people within the company who are talking about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Mega Park was there from pretty much the beginning, or at some point, you would think that she would be a fairly unbiased witness to whatever happened.
Yeah, and somebody, yeah, exactly. So because look, there are legalities here. These are, like it's one thing to be a pro wrestler who might have, one point of view on the way things should be handled in a pro wrestling locker room. But it's another thing to be, an actual business person, like Mega is. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all lands. As far as the programming, I mean, there was another thing also that was today, and that was CM Punk needs surgery due to his triceps injury that was sustained during the suicide dive during the match at All Out, which, let's say that he showed up at the media scrum and said a bunch of glowing things about all of his coworkers, and he would be showing up tonight saying, I need surgery. I'm going to be out. We're going to have to do this all over again, which kind of solidifies my point that I made before all this. Is it incredibly wise to put that title back on a guy who at this point you can call injury prone?
Yeah. I mean, he's in his mid-40s, hadn't wrestled for 7 years, and to expect him in less than a year to get back in tip-top ring shape and to be able to withstand all the bumps, all the bruises.
He doesn't exactly wrestle like The Miz. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, that's one thing that I always really appreciated about CM Punk, is that this guy seemed to wrestle every match like it potentially could be his last one. That's what I always liked about him. He always, at the end of every match, looked like he'd been through a fight. That's what I appreciate about pro wrestling. That's why I love about guys like Roderick Strong. Those dudes look like they've been in a fight by the time they're done with a match. And Punk was that guy on sort of the highest level. But when you're in your mid-40s, and like you said, he's been gone forever, I don't know if the body can handle that stuff, and obviously that might not be the case here.
Yeah, it might not be the case. So, as you mentioned, regardless if there was the fight post-scrum or not, Punk was going to have to vacate the title, or they were going to do their interim thing due to the triceps injury. And so Tony Khan opened the show, more or less, after a video package, and announced that both the AEW Championship and the Trios titles have been vacated. So to open tonight's in-ring action was a match between Death Triangle and Best Friends, the Crown New Champions. And he also announced a tournament, I think they called it Champions Tournament or something like that, because everybody in this match is a former champion. To crown the new AEW champion. The finals of that will be at Grand Slam. Let me scroll down to my notes here. I have the bracket.
Mox and Jericho got a first round bye.
They got buys. So tonight we had Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson.
Correct.
So the winner of that match would face Jericho. And then on Rampage, I believe, we get Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin. Winner of that match would face Chris Jericho. Sorry, no, Mox. Apologies. Mox. Yeah. And then, of course, winner of Jericho and then whoever won the page is Bryan Danielson. He won the match tonight. Will face the winner of Mox, and then whoever wins between Sammy and Darby. We're probably going to get Danielson versus Mox in the finals.
Seems like it, yeah. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
It would make a lot of sense. And, MJF came out early in the show, dropped a fantastic promo, and he was confronted by Mox.
Yeah.
So, considering that MJF is number one contender, it could be a situation where they're setting that up already, but who knows?
Yeah, no, I really actually did appreciate the way they opened the show. I thought that it was. I was trying to look for the intro again to see if. Did you notice the Young Bucks in the intro?
I didn't notice either. I was strictly looking for Punk.
I'm trying to find this damn thing.
All right, while you look for that, Kid Bandit with the raid. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So yeah. Anyways, I'm still looking for it here.
All right.
The way they. Oh, here we go. I got it. There we go. This guy, that guy, this guy, Bryan Daniels. No. Finished on Wardlow and Tony Storm and the Young Bucks and
no Kenny, no Young Bucks. Okay.
No. So that's interesting. No, I liked. I mean, what are you gonna do? I thought that it was. I don't know. I honestly like long view. I hope this entire thing is just a good learning experience for Tony Khan. I mean, dude, his oh man, we got a raid here from Kid Bandit.
Yep.
What's up?
Yep.
Thank you so much for the raid. We appreciate it. We're talking about Dynamite right now and the whole Tony Khan kerfuffle. I hope that he's just learned that you got to rein things in a little bit. Like these media scrums where you just put people up in front of a microphone. I mean, I don't know. Everybody else was fine, but you got to rein things in a little bit. And it seems like this might have sobered him up a little bit to that.
Well, hopefully it's not just in terms of reining things in a bit. These media scrums is providing more structure.
Right,
I think that's what's definitely lacking.
Reining things in total, not just the media scrums, but just in total.
And just going around people saying, hey, guys, you got to dial it back. I don't think that's enough. I think there's got to be proper structure to things. We were talking about the Punk Hangman back and forth, and it seemed like there was no story there, probably because there was no one in the organization to say, all right, this is what this is why you guys are wrestling. This is what this match is about. Because maybe there just wasn't the structure there to provide that. I just don't feel like, based on what we've heard, there's much structure in AEW, and if anything, hopefully Tony Khan realizes, all right, we need a better organization to run this company.
Yeah. I thought they started the show off with after the Tony Khan bit with MJF cutting a babyface promo.
Oh, it was awesome.
And then which was phenomenal. And then the real babyface Mox, who's just done with everybody's shit at this point, comes down, and MJF just can't hold back. He can only hold the facade up for so long, and that just completely crumbles. And then Mox, just as he has done since he came back from rehab, delivering a promo that just gets everybody excited to be there watching this pro wrestling. It's the reason why Mox has been the most reliable guy on the roster, and why he probably should never have lost that title in the first place. You don't take guys like that for granted, man. You just don't. You don't take a guy who's had a Wrestler of the Year run. This year has been his year since he's come back from rehab, and then just say, hey, you know what? I like this guy better over here. No, man, Mox is the guy. He is the guy. So let's talk about that in terms of who's going to be next AEW champion. You see Mox being 3-time guy, or is this going to be Danielson's time?
I mean, regardless of who it is, I don't feel like they're going to have the belt for very long, because I feel like it's going to be MJF probably before the end of the year, probably at Full Gear. It's in Newark, which is, I know it's not Long Island, but it's relatively close. I would be pretty surprised if MJF didn't win it at Full Gear. That gives whoever wins this tournament about a 2-month reign.
Yeah.
And if it's Mox, that's, knowing him, that's probably 5 title defenses.
Right, yeah.
He'll put up that title every week. If it's Danielson, 2 or 3. They'll get a couple title defenses.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, they'll get a couple title defenses, and then put the belt on MJF and see what he can do with it.
Yeah, that it's a tough one because God, you don't do the same thing with Mox,
I know.
that you
I
just
know.
did, and at the same time, because I think I don't know, maybe I think Jericho wouldn't be a terrible idea at this point because you don't do that to Danielson's first run. And I know Danielson just lost to Jericho, so it seems likely that he's going to beat Jericho.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
But do you have Danielson's first run be only 2 months? And I know he's not necessarily in his prime. That was probably Mania 30. But for AEW, Danielson's not a bad pick for your next world champion. But if he's going to get it, you give it to him for like the full 8-month run or year-long run. But you have MJF there, and if you don't have him win, doesn't that kill him a little bit? And do you want to do that at this point? It's a tough decision to make. There's like more cons to every outcome, except Jericho, who has a history with MJF. He can have, just like Mox just had, his 2-month run or whatever it was, 3-month run. Yeah. Jericho can have his 2-month run, drop it to MJF. They got a great history there.
There's a case to be made for that, for sure. For sure. I mean, like the case, I guess, for Danielson is a new name. It's a name that's popular, and it's a fresh matchup with MJF.
Sure,
we haven't seen that.
Absolutely.
Same with Mox MJF. We haven't seen that. Well, have we seen that? We have seen that. I believe they did have a match.
We've probably seen
that. So Danielson would be the fresh matchup. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those 3 names.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to get it, and then you'd think drop it probably, if not Full Gear, at Revolution in February to MJF.
I mean, I would be shocked if MJF would have waited until Revolution to cash in that chip.
Maybe he's just going to wait till the next Long Island show. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There are some decisions to be made. And I hope Tony Khan is consulting those guys, Danielson, Mox, and Jericho. Because
Fightful Select said there was a talent meeting before the show today, and then the 3 talent that you mentioned, Jericho, Mox, and Danielson, were to speak at this meeting.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
You got some veterans there. Apparently Jericho's really stepped up of late.
Right, yeah.
In terms of leadership role backstage. You listen to Mox promo here, and this based on Mox promo, this is the type of guy you want out in the front of your company, being the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Danielson just seems like a calming presence. And he's a veteran. He's seen a lot of stuff. If this company can't manage these rocky waters with these 3 people kind of taking leadership roles, it's going to be a rough go for them. I mean, these, in a lot of ways, they're kind of the ideal people you want. I mean, not to mention Mark Henry, Paul White, Jerry Lynn, Dean Malenko.
It's always helpful to have the guys who are at the top of the card on TV be those guys. And you're absolutely right. You have that. Flats here brings up All Out 2019, the show where Matt Hardy fell, main evented by Mox and MJF.
Yeah.
I don't know. Those are some tough decisions to make. If he's intent on MJF winning that title soon, like at Full Gear with the cash in.
Here's another option.
I'd do Jericho.
How about we have the tournament final, we know it's going to be going into Grand Slam. As he said in his promo tonight, he can cash that chip in whenever he wants.
He says anytime. And it's like you thinking it's going to be a Money in the Bank?
Well, I mean, at the least, he could say, well, this match you thought was going to be Mox versus Danielson. Guess what? I'm in it now.
Yeah, right.
And you don't have to worry about someone being a transitional champion. It's in Queens, which is on Long Island,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So maybe instead of having someone walk out of Grand Slam as champ to face MJF, and MJF puts himself in the match at Grand Slam to win champion.
That could be. That could absolutely be. Let's take a break here to get a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Larson, more pro athletes are speaking out about the importance of mental health these days, and we've seen several top stars take time away to tend to their own mental well-being. But pro athletes aren't the only ones who need to take care of their mental health. Therapy is the best way for anybody to stay in peak mental shape.
Yeah, there was a point in my life where I was dealing with severe anxiety, and I realized that I needed to go to therapy. So I can tell you firsthand that it's not easy finding the right person to talk to. But once I found a therapist I felt comfortable with, I started gaining and learning the tools to deal with my anxiety. And if you're thinking about trying therapy, BetterHelp is a great option because it makes the process of finding a therapist much more convenient and accessible. All you got to do to get connected with a therapist is fill out a quick online survey, and you can also switch therapists at any time.
So when you're ready to feel at the top of your mental health game, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/raw today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw. And now let's get a word in from our sponsor, ExpressVPN. So, Larson.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you watch porn or not. We don't really talk about that.
Oh,
my
gosh,
we've known each other
man.
for a long time, but I don't like to dive into that stuff. But, in case you do have friends or you do watch pornography, you might want to pay attention to what I'm about to say. You see, with everything going on in the world, governments have increased their surveillance, right? And they're using your devices to track your location, movements, and in some places, your internet activity. You don't want to be caught with your proverbial or literal pants down when you're surfing the web, Larson. And one of the best ways to keep your online browsing activity private is by using ExpressVPN.
Yeah, without ExpressVPN, you're basically giving people a free license to look over your shoulder to see whatever you're looking at online. You'd think, hey, I'm using incognito mode. That would protect me, right? Wrong. You'd be wrong with that assessment. Your internet provider can still see every site you visit. And if you use shared Wi-Fi, your network admin can see it all too.
They've seen everything. That's why I use ExpressVPN whenever I go online, because ExpressVPN reroutes my internet connection through a secure encrypted server so I can surf the web without anyone snooping into my business.
So protect your privacy today. Get 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. Visit expressvpn.com/GIR. That's expressvpn.com/GIR for 3 months free with a 1-year package. Visit expressvpn.com/GIR to learn more.
And before we get back to the show, let's get a word from our sponsor, DraftKings. Larson!
Yes, Steve.
It's time to get excited because the first Sunday of the NFL is upon us.
Yeah!
That's some excitement, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is giving new customers an offer that is can't miss to celebrate the return of the NFL. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly.
And if that wasn't great already, and it is great, there's even more. As an added bonus for week 1, everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. It's super simple. Super simple. You bet on any NFL team to win, and if your team leads by 10 at any point during the game, you get paid instantly, even if your team loses.
And if the return to the NFL isn't enough for you, there's a huge fight happening in Vegas this Saturday. For all the MMA fans out there, looks like Nate Diaz is going to be in action on that card.
I saw that. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code RAW to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet this Sunday.
That's code RAW, only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. We have new Trios champions as well because those titles were vacated as well due to the suspensions. And we just had straight up Death Triangle versus Best Friends. It was kayfabed later on that the Dark Order could not participate because of John Silver's injury due to Hangman Page's buckshot lariat at the show All Out. Death Triangle. Has there been? I was trying to rack my old brain.
Oh, a 2-time champ?
Is there a double champ so far? Besides somebody carrying around 2 different TNT titles. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah. Not that I'm aware of.
I mean, it's a fairly new title here.
Mayo is loose as Queens and Long Island are completely different. I know, but Queens is on actual Long Island.
I'm not going to claim to know much of the geography of New York. So you're on your own there.
As a kid, I used to look at atlases. Not to say I'm a geography expert, far from it.
You and I are such fucking nerds because I was obsessed with presidents.
Yeah,
it's so nerdy. What is our deal? I guess
we were inquisitive. We had inquisitive minds.
Of the nerdiest things.
But I think geography is good to know.
Shut up, nerd.
Quanah Rob says Larson doesn't live here and he knows better. No, I'm saying geographically. I understand, in terms
it's okay. You're digging yourself.
I understand that the atmosphere of Queens is completely different than the rest of Long Island. I'm not arguing that. When I look at the map of Long Island, I see Queens and Brooklyn on it. That's what I'm saying.
I'm old, I'm hurt, and I work with a fucking nerd. All right, man. Death Triangle. They're the new trios guys. Pac, double champion. That's cool. You get those Lucha Brothers as champions now. That's pretty cool. That's all good stuff. I like it. Best Friends I thought was a great option, too. I was in my heart, I was rooting for Best Friends, man.
I was too. I put channel points on them. Lou here says, yes, technically it's on the mainland, but it's not recognized. So Larson, you're still wrong. Fine, fair enough.
Stop giving him shit, people. Come on now. Maggie, can we nuke this chat, please?
No, don't nuke it.
Nuke the chat.
It's fine.
God damn it.
All right, enough geography quiz. Let's get to the show. So kicked off with a recap of All Out, highlighting MJF's return. Then we had Tony Khan addressing AEW fans. Says, following All Out, I've been forced to vacate the world title and trios titles. And he says new trios titles or champs will be crowned tonight. Death Triangle versus Best Friends announces the tournament and the field. Says those matches start tonight. And then MJF comes to the ring. He's got a Josh Allen Bills jersey, of course, quarterback for the Bills. He goes up to commentary and gives Taz a hug, poses with some fans along the ramp, and he gets to the ring. He says, the devil is back. Listen up, Buffalo. First things first. Who's excited to see me? I love Buffalo. The greatest quarterback of all time, Josh Allen, is from Buffalo. Now we got to get down to brass tacks here. Last time you saw me said some offensive stuff, but we can all agree I didn't really mean it. I was just kidding. I love AEW. I'd never leave this place. And he starts an AEW chant. This is great.
It was amazing stuff.
When I called y'all fans stupid marks, I didn't mean it, because without you, there's no MJF. So give yourself a round of applause. He says, but I need to address something. The world title has been vacated, and there's going to be a tournament of champions to crown a new champion. And I know there's one guy who deserves that title. He's talking about himself. He says, but I work smarter, not harder. So I'm not worried about the tournament because I got a chip that guarantees me a title shot whenever I want it. He says, and Tony is paying me a buttload of money. And there's one thing I know to be true. What we need now is leadership. And I can't think of anyone more trustworthy than myself. And he tells the story of Moses. And he says, I'm not saying I'm Moses.
I'm better than Moses. Yeah. So that brings Mox to the ring. He says, you're full of crap. And then MJF, he says, what, do you think I'm not being sincere in front of all these people who have the worst football team in the world? Takes his jersey off. He wipes his ass with it. He starts going off on people, calls them all scumbags. He says, I don't know if you're woozy, John, because you went to sleep on Sunday. And that was the lone reference to CM Punk. He says, but maybe I don't care about AEW. I don't care about the fans. Maybe I look at the title as nothing more than a bargaining chip for the bidding war of 2024. He says, maybe I take that title to a real wrestling company with real fans, with real wrestlers like the American Roadster coaster, Cody Rhodes. And maybe I get to work for a real boss, the only con in wrestling worth a damn, Saint Nick. To quote the greatest wrestler of all time and my hero, the game, I'm what's best for business. He was just on fire. He was on fire.
It was so good. And then Mox then knocks the mic out of his hand, says, it's not the time or place, and I'm not in the mood. He tells MJF to leave the ring right now, or I'll make you leave. And so they start getting ready to fight. Mox takes off his jacket. MJF unbuttons his shirt. He takes one sleeve off. He gets his hand stuck in the other sleeve. And then eventually he leaves, walks up the ramp. And then as he's leaving, Mox says, well, your theme music sucks anyways. He says, I'm in no mood. I'm pissed off. I'm embarrassed. I'm pissed about a great many things, but mostly because I don't have the AEW title with me. It's the only worldly possession that means something to me. What that title represents, it means passion for this business. It's passion for the locker room. The world title represents the freedom to be as great as you're willing to be. The AEW title means being better than you were the day before. It represents slaying demons and everything I love about this business. But the fact remains, on Saturday, I lost, and that's on me. I missed the game-winning shot. I was supposed to be on vacation until 2 days ago, but here's another chance to take another shot. He starts putting over the entire tournament field, and he says, winners always want the ball when the game is on the line. And I want the ball, so hell yeah, I'm going to take the shot. This isn't just time for me to win. This isn't just winning time. This is time to be a legend.
It's such a good, and he had that crowd just going.
Oh, man. You could see the emotion pouring out of him.
Yeah, dude, I know.
Wrestler of the year, I'm telling you.
No, I agree. I agree at this point. I just don't know, man. That's a tough decision right there. That is a tough decision to make right there.
I know Mike Bailey's making a good case for himself too.
Oh no! I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Tony Khan and the AEW title. Sorry, yeah. That's not a tough. I'm sorry, that's not a tough.
It's September and Mox Wrestler of the Year is already locked up. Yeah.
unless he goes down to injury and FTR just have like the entire.
If they win the Impact tag titles and the AEW tag titles and all the other tag titles,
WWE, they beat the Usos.
Yeah, they win all
exactly. So after that, we had Death Triangle versus Best Friends kicking us off. This is for the Trios title. Fun stuff. Awesome stuff happening in this match. Go check it out because it's cool. Of course, you have the mini story there with Pac and Orange Cassidy, who wants a shot at that All-Atlantic title. In the end, though, it is Pac getting the win here, hitting Chuck with a Black Arrow for the win.
Yep. Then we got a Dark Order interview where they say John Silver is injured due to the buckshot lariat. Before they could say much, though, Jose, the assistant, barges in, and he goes up to 10, says, I have something Andrade wants you to sign. And Uno tells him, essentially get lost. Silver says, hey, your last name is the assistant. Get out.
Yeah.
And then Andrade and Roosh step in. Roosh is asking them if they want to fight. And Andrade says, hey, Ted, here's your crutch. He gives it back to him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No tasing happening this time. After that, we had Penelope Ford versus Toni Storm. It was a championship eliminator match, which is just number one championship contender match.
Yes.
And of course, Toni Storm picks up a pretty easy win here against Penelope Ford. Hits a hip attack and a DDT for the win. After that, we had a 2.0 promo talking about Hook. Parker says, I got beat, but he got his just desserts. And then it's one of those promos that goes back and forth. So
that people are responding to each other like they can hear the promo.
Right, exactly. And Hook is there with, what's his name? Action Bronson?
Action Bronson, yeah.
What a great name. So Bronson says, don't try any of that coward stuff with my guy. He says, and then 2.0 says, hey, you don't belong in the wrestling world. And then Bronson says, hey, I hear you're coming to Queens. That's my neck of the woods. You don't want none of this.
So it sounds like we're getting 2.0 versus Action Bronson and Hook.
They're going to get a taste.
Going to get a taste next. The Acclaim come to the ramp, and everybody's just waiting to hear what Max Caster
has a big glowing smile on his face. And right when he's doing the yo listen stuff and everybody's excited, the music is interrupted by Swerve.
And
he's got an even bigger smile on his face.
This was great. So Swerve says, oh, I'm sorry. He says to the crowd, did you want to hear more stupid, corny rap jokes? And he says, well, matter of fact, I have a joke. The Acclaimed as AEW tag champs.
Ooh, heat.
And then he's interrupted by Billy Gunn, Daddy Ass.
Yeah.
Says, you don't know. I don't know if you've been listening, Swerve, but this isn't your house anymore. This is Daddy Ass's house. And Bowen says, because of the fans, in 2 weeks, it's going to be the Acclaimed versus Swerve in Our Glory 2, and they're taking home the gold.
I kind of believe that, too.
Yeah, that's totally.
That's awesome, by the way. It was just like a couple weeks ago we were talking about, will the Acclaimed win them? They got to win them like at least in early 2023,
Yeah.
After that, I mean, that is sort of the upside to the tag division sort of shifting their priorities to the trios titles, that you have the actual tag division, and now it's opening up to teams that maybe wouldn't have got a shot before, with other teams with higher name value clogging up the ranks.
Exactly. And I like how this bit advanced the story that we've been seeing with Swerve and Keith Lee, where Keith Lee is like, all right, I'll wrestle you, but afterward, hey, we're cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We saw that him try to do that at the end of the match at All Out, where Swerve, he's prodding people.
Mm-hmm.
He's fine healing it up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's going to be, I like that if there's going to be some push and pull on the character level, because up till now it's like Swerve and Keith Lee, it's like, hey, we want to get along, we just keep kicking each other in the head or whatever. But it's like if you have a dynamic where Swerve is like, hey, this is where I belong, being a dick, basically. Keith Lee's like, that's not really my thing, man. That's a more interesting dynamic than just, I accidentally hit you in the head.
Like Keith Lee said before they won the tag titles, as long as we keep winning, everything's fine.
Well, I ain't gonna be fine anymore.
No.
After that, we had a Jericho Appreciation Society interview. Jericho said, I had a gigantic win over Danielson because I'm better than ever. He says, 400 years ago, Ponce de Leon looked for the fountain of youth and didn't find it, but I found it, baby, and I've been drinking it in. And that's why I beat Brian at his own game. He says, now I'm the best wrestler ever, the best sports entertainer ever. That's another reason I'm going to beat Danielson again next week.
He kind of spoiled the result of Danielson versus Page here, but,
he's got a lot on his plate being locker room leader. So
he wasn't even supposed to be there.
He wasn't even supposed to be there, exactly. And he said, I'm going to go on to win the title for the 8th time because this is my time. This company is, he said, this is my locker room, my company. He says, no one's taking it from me ever. And then Sammy talked about Darby getting beat on Friday. Garcia has, and then back to Jericho. He says, Garcia's got the biggest match of his life in his hometown. He says, I know he's going to win, but since he left us alone during our celebration, we're going to leave him alone.
Mm-hmm. Then next we got Wardlow versus Tony Nese. Nese goes up to Wardlow and the bell rings and it starts playing with his pecs. Mm-hmm. He starts playing with it. So Wardlow headbutts him, hits a huge clothesline, 3 power bombs. He wins. He's about to do another power bomb, but then Mark Sterling gets on the apron. Wardlow brings him in the ring. He's about to power bomb him. Josh Woods runs down to make the save, and then Wardlow had a promo that was going really good until he said Wardlow's world. He said, people are saying that I've lost it, that I've got no momentum anymore. But hey, I'm still the TNT champ. It's time to remind everyone that this is
Wardlow's world. He was
powerbomb, excellent.
He was almost there. Because this was a good promo. This is a really, really good promo. You got to ditch the Wardlow's World thing, man.
Yep.
Got to ditch it. If he hasn't made a Wayne's World parody shirt of Wardlow's World to make a lot of money off it, then what is he even doing? I'd be okay with that because I'd make a lot of money. People like the Wayne's World, I think. I don't know.
I mean, nostalgia is the thing,
People our age do anyways. Old people. They do anyways. After that, we had a Darby and Sammy video package.
They got their match out on Rampage for this tournament.
Correct. So that's not going to be a live Rampage, is it?
Yeah, I think everyone.
Oh, is it?
Maybe, I don't know. Actually, I don't know if the live Rampages have started yet. I think it's like starting in October for sure.
Okay. We did after that we had Danielson versus Hangman Page.
These two guys have amazing chemistry. God. 3 matches, they've all been awesome.
Oh, they've been absolutely killer matches. This was really good stuff. So to start off, Page offers Brian his hand. Brian waves him off. Nope, not doing that.
I wonder if that was a reference. I mean, obviously, it's the Ring of Honor thing where you shake hands to start the match, but also that's what Punk kept saying to Hangman. Mm-hmm. You're going to shake my hand one way or the other.
Yeah. Hangman's like, I'm not going to shake his hand, but I'll shake your hand because I actually respect you. Yeah, that's good. And again, this is one of those matches they have, like you said, they have excellent chemistry. Brian ended up getting the win here. So Hangman was looking for a buckshot. Danielson ducks that and then rolls him up. Does that whatever the victory roll I think it is. No, that's not the victory. Is it the victory roll?
That is. I don't remember. No, it's not the victory roll. I don't know what you're talking about. But I remember what they call
it. Rolls him up for the win, and Danielson moves on to face Jericho. Jericho confirmed precog Larson.
Yeah.
By the way, if anybody is interested in our NXT recap, it was in today's episode. I didn't put it in the thumbnail or title because nobody cares. But there might be some people out there who care about it. It's in earlier today's episode.
It won't be in this one. It's there.
It's there.
Then we got a Christian Jungle Boy video package. Apparently Christian is like legit hurt, which is why
that match went short.
It was a short match. So who knows when this will actually kick off again in earnest.
Also,
then we got
just while we're talking about that really quick, short matches, Fightful Select had a write-up on Ricky Starks. Long story short, doesn't seem like he's leaving the company. So
Yeah. Which is great news because Ricky Starks is awesome.
Yeah.
Then we got a Stokely promo. He says, I know everybody wants an explanation about why I did what I did at All Out. It was the greatest moment of my career. And then there's a camera guy that's telling him to wrap it up. And, of course, Stokely's like, you don't telling me to wrap it up when I have a mic in my hand. Give me the same amount of respect you'd give your own father. And then he blasts the guy with the mic, the Ass Boys, and Ethan Page start beating him up a little bit. And the Ass Boys hold him up, and Morrissey gives him a huge boot, and he tumbles down the ramp.
Yeah. Morrissey's hair looked great, by the way.
It did.
After that, we had a Claudio versus Dax video package to hype their Ring of Honor title match at Rampage. That match is going to be fucking off the hook, by the way.
It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be good. After that, we had Daniel Garcia versus Wheeler Yuta. This is our main event. Westside Gunn performed Garcia's theme during his entrance.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was fucking awesome. Garcia had that look on his face like, man, this is a big, big moment. My God, these two can just go at it, man. It was really good.
They beat the hell out of each other. They were like this trading off German suplexes for what seemed like 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And the high angle variety at that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The one that make me nervous. The great thing, too, is that they are slowly, especially with this Garcia Jericho Appreciation Society, Brian Danielson stuff, they're really generating some sympathy for Daniel Garcia. Like, he used to be just sort of the stone cold killer, didn't have much going on, hanging out with 2.0 for some reason. But this stuff has really elevated his game in terms of his character work. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, you get a feel for kind of who Wheeler Yuta is, And I like it. That dynamic is starting to play out in the match.
Yeah, because who's the one that cheated in this match? Wheeler Yuta. Yeah. Pure rules.
Yeah.
No close hands, no punches.
Right.
No close fists. He punched Garcia leading up to the finish. Mm-hmm. And what's Garcia's thing been of late, especially with Jericho? You don't need to cheat. You're good enough to win without cheating.
Yeah. Essentially
telling Jericho, you don't need to be a sports entertainer all the time. You could be a wrestler too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so that's good stuff. I hope just because like 2 seconds before this, we had that Stokely promo where Lee Moriarty was. I don't want him to get lost in the mix of these, these young, super really good wrestlers. They need to sort of put him front and center quickly,
Yes.
Quickly.
Yes.
And I hope like what we saw tonight when he basically had one line from the movie Friday, you got knocked the hell out. Wasn't really the way to go, get this guy out in front of people, show us what Stokely was going to bring him to. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is a terrific match. Awesome match. I definitely recommend it. And Garcia ended up getting the win here. Finish saw, let's see here. Garcia locked on a Dragon Tamer, and then Yuta, he went back with it to really crank it, and then Yuta grabbed Garcia's neck and started cranking that, and Garcia started sort of like hip thrusting his way out.
Yeah.
It looked kind of funny, but he was hip thrusting his way out, and Yuta couldn't do anything about it, so he tapped.
Yeah, and then afterwards, Bryan Danielson comes to the ring, and he steps up to Garcia. Then Yuta kind of pushes Danielson back because he wants to be the first one to shake Garcia's hand after the match. And then Bryan goes over to Garcia and snatches the pure title away from him and then puts it around his waist. Mm-hmm. Raises his arm. Jericho comes to the ramp, and then Bryan sees this. He's like, oh, time to double down. Mm-hmm. Shakes Garcia's hand. Smirk over to Jericho. Raises Garcia's arm. Oh, I love Danielson's smirk.
Danielson's smirk has been the highlight of everything. Like even in the Total Bella stuff, whenever he was in that, he'd always have that little smirk.
Oh, it's great.
He is the best. Let's go ahead and answer some questions. If anybody has some questions in our live chat, feel free to leave them. Please, no questions about New York geography. I have a thread right here on the Patreon. Patreon.com/ I
mean, I actually did a Google search and said technically.
I don't need people giving you the
Long
business.
Island, Maine.
I don't need people giving you
just brought
the
it
business.
up again. How dare you?
I told them not to, so they wouldn't give you the damn business.
But by bringing it up, they're going to double down on it.
Oh man, they're going to do what I say. It
was forgotten. It was forgotten until you brought it up again.
I've got good intentions. I mean well.
No, you know what you're doing. You know exactly what you're doing. Don't try to say you have good intention.
Alex, dope. Enough with your polls.
Yeah, put a poll up. Dope. Let's do that.
You don't want to bring.
Yes, Mr. Dope, please put up a poll.
Alex Foster says, what would happen during a Going in Raw press conference / media scrum? So, they had the dry muffin, which in actuality we understand was a cupcake. Dry muffin is funnier. We go for comedy here.
Yes.
What are we sitting there? I say like a box of crumble cookies that Maggie sent me the other day. Those are good.
Yeah.
What would you like to see at a press conference? We might have some press some press conferences if we purchase ACW.
That's true.
So what are we gonna have?
We gotta have donuts. Mm-hmm. That's like our thing. Mm-hmm. One of our things.
Dope. This poll doesn't even make sense. Whose side are we on, Steve or Larson? I didn't do anything. I thought this was Larson against the chat about the geography of New York.
I mean, I'm winning the poll, so I'm cool with it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad then. You know what? I'm glad for you.
Thank you. You be happy for my wins. Please.
I'm happy for this win. I'm happy. All right.
Not happy. You usually say that, but you're just patronizing me. So I don't know if I believe you.
I'm very happy for you. You're doing great work lately.
That's
the one you hate, isn't it?
That's the.
You're doing great work.
Oh,
Dope says I wasn't even paying attention. Whose side are we on? Oh my gosh, too much. Ian B, where do they go with House of Black?
I guess Brody has to assume leadership, yeah? Or they
Uh,
split up.
yeah, that could be. Yeah. No, that should be the case. But they need to bring in another member. Who should they bring in?
People that were in Brody's faction in Ring of Honor, like Bateman? Was it
Oh,
Violence?
that's good. Oh, Bateman's agree. Yeah. Violence Incorporated.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
That's a good one. I like that. Let's see here. What else we got? Do you think Andrew Bates? Do you think Tony Khan did enough tonight to show he's the authority in AEW?
No. I mean, it's good that he put his foot down to a degree and said, "All right, everybody." Seems like what he's doing is saying anybody that was involved in any way in this scrum or this fight,
Yeah.
we're just keeping you off the road till we get this all figured out.
Oh, sure.
Stripping the titles, I think, is part of that
because
I'm sure they don't have an exact end date for investigation. And that's probably also part of the punitive aspect of it as well. You are champion, not champion anymore. I guess it comes down to if whoever is deemed to have taken things to a level where it became violent and they're punished more harshly, then I would say, okay, he's done something to try to bring some structure and some accountability. Short of like if everybody's off 2 weeks and then they come back, I'm like, okay, what was really accomplished here?
Yeah, no, I can see that. Dave Matushek says, considering Punk is no longer a champion, what do you think may be the desired outcome of Punk's future in the company? It all depends, in my opinion, it all depends on what he did backstage. I mean, honestly, what I saw in the media scrum is kind of fireable in the first place, but maybe I can understand, hey, this is a situation where there was a lot of high running emotions, with him getting blasted for the cult stuff. Maybe you can forgive the media scrum, but then it all boils down to the physicality backstage. If the facts of that don't favor Punk, if he in fact did, after they super kicked the door down, start immediately clawing and scratching and punching at Matt Jackson's head, that's probably fireable. I think it's probably
fireable. If the truth leans closer to the elite's account of things, especially, I mean, if the Young Bucks walked in there with the number 2 executive in the company and Punk still thought it was a wise idea to start throwing hands,
right,
you kind of have to let him go. You kind of have to let him go.
The injury surgery thing also complicates things.
It does.
Because it's like, okay, he's going to be out regardless, and I have no idea, like, from what length of time he would be out. But, like, you got to, dude, I just don't know. I don't know there's any way he stays in the company. I really don't. And honestly,
I would be pretty darn surprised if he did.
It just seems like, I don't know, it's probably better.
It just seems like at this point the relationship is so fractured that it's probably just for the betterment of everybody involved just to part ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. Nick asks, do you think they should have had the Acclaimed win it all out? They should have called an audible. Yeah, I think they should.
Yeah, they'll win it. They'll win it in at Grand Slam.
Yeah. Let's see here. Blake Whitehouse, if Tony Khan doesn't want a wrestler holding 2 single belts or unify the titles, what do you do with Jade and the TBS title? And by the way, as much as I agree with you that it should be Jade holding both of them, I'm not convinced they're going to do that. What do you do instead? What do you think is going to happen with that? Is it just going to keep on parallel paths? Jade keeps on winning until there's somebody they build up, or Chris Statlander returns and they pull the trigger on her, which I don't think would be a good idea. I don't know what you do in that situation.
Yeah, I don't know. She's defeated pretty much everybody in that locker room already. Save for Tony Storm.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to build her as this huge, like mainstream megastar, you put both those belts on her. And if that's not an option for whatever reason, I mean, I guess who's to say you can't have her win the women's title while still TBS champion? Say, all right, I got this belt. And then they could say, well, AEW regulations dictate that a singles competitor can't have two singles belts or something. So she has to vacate the TBS title or something like that.
Yeah. No, that one moment where she has them both, and then she can vacate. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, you get that shot of her with both belts. But I think she should carry both those belts until somebody beats her.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here.
Solus here asks, so as much as MJF is playing heel in his contract status for 2024 for an angle, is it better for the company for him to step back a bit from that now? Or is this another incident waiting to happen as it did before when he walked out? I would imagine if he's back, he and Tony Khan reached some sort of agreement. I don't know what exactly, but they apparently sat down and said, all right, we can move forward with this as the arrangement. So up until 2024 when his contract expires, let's say it can't ever happen, I don't think we're going to get another situation where he doesn't show up for a meet and greet because he's unhappy, Yeah,
I kind of agree with you. It's been a while, and you think that they would come to a solid agreement between now and 2024. The bottom line is I kind of believe at this point, I don't think MJF wouldn't have come back for more money. And I think Tony Khan probably says, you know what? Sometimes you got to take that L. Here, I'm going to give you $20,000 more a year. So you're up to a solid $80,000 a year.
$80,000.
That's a joke.
That's a 33% raise right there.
Pretty good raise. I think he probably gave him more money. That's pure speculation, but why else would he come back? What else?
I mean, there's a TV contract they got to negotiate here soon.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he needs ratings, and if if the dude is willing to say, "Hey, I'm a ratings draw, and I'm not going to show up until I get more money," then they probably just got to plunk down some money.
Yep.
Business is business. Anyways, that's going to do it for us. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Tomorrow we got Smash Zone actually earlier in the day we do have our bonus episode. What time do you want to do that? What's good for you?
We do the Smash Zone at 6, so just not any time after. Let's say I could do noon.
Noon sounds good. I'm down for noon.
That way we have time to get notifications out for Smash Zone.
That's what I'm thinking as well. Smash Zone tomorrow at noon Pacific 3. I'm sorry. Overrun is at noon Pacific 3 Eastern. Smash Zone is the normal time of 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Should be a lot of fun. It always is. At twitch.tv/Stephen Larson. If you're watching us on the YouTube, do us a huge favor. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. A little notify bell next to it. If you're listening to us in the audio realm, do us a huge favor. Leave us a rating, review, or a comment. It really does help grow the show. Last I checked, we were number 12 on Chartable's wrestling podcast list, man. And we're up there with the big guys like Austin, Jericho, Cornette. Cornette's number 1. Everybody want to know Cornette's take on the backstage stuff. Oh, they love to hear the hot takes, man. I love those hot takes. Anyways, thanks so much. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.